Hello guys, welcome back to the Manga Man, previously known as Clues, Cues and Reviews. It has been a while, 7 months I'm guessing it was. I remember looking through my YouTube channel yesterday and I think I did chapter 966 or 967, so it has been a long time. How consistent I'm going to be, I do not know. So without further ado, let's get into a quick summary of what I haven't covered, which will be brief at best, and then we'll go through the current chapter, which will contain spoilers because the official release is Sunday or Monday depending on where you are in the world. So take it with a grain of salt. It will be more about what the pictures tell rather than what the translation is, because as you can imagine with spoilers the translations can be a piece of bump. But without further ado, let's get into our summary, then our review. So part of the summary, so what I'm going to do with this is briefly go over a few key points that I felt that kind of stayed with me. I've made a few notes over here, so if you see me glancing away, that's basically what I'm doing. So if you think about it realistically, there's a good 20 chapters I need to cover, so I will try to kind of cover it as best I can. So anyway, so from where we left off, a few things happened. The Roger Pirates disbanded. There was a talk of the prophecy of the rebirth of Shirahoshi or Poseidon. Roger thinking, his son will become the Pirate King because they essentially were too early. The meeting of the two kings, which should happen roughly 25 years after when Roger Pirates are down there. And there's a lot of different things that I noticed throughout this whole thing. Number one, when people separate, so like when Oden went back to Wano, the tears and the crying of the goodbyes of Roger's crew was a lot like Luffy. So it kind of there's that parallel there. Then we had the whole thing with Oden returning, fighting Kaido, or trying to fight Kaido, failing the first time, then being in rage of his betrayal because they didn't keep the promise, and him dancing naked, and embarrassing himself, and then finding out that they weren't keeping up with the deal, going back, scarring Kaido, being kind of caught off guard, then going through the boiling pot, and then being betrayed again at the last second. So there's a lot of that section for me when I was actually reading it. I really didn't want to talk about it. It really affected me, I guess, emotionally, because it really shows and it really is telling of the storytelling and character building capabilities of Oda, because essentially, even though we've heard about Odin for a while, we've seen little bits of snippets and flashbacks, we've not really known him for that long, not as long as Luffy or Zoro, or people that we've really invested our time in. But for some reason he just really resonated with me, and it was really hard to watch and read, and I didn't really want to talk about it. It's probably one of the reasons why I didn't do everything on video, but yeah, Odin gets killed. And the thing is, things to think about with this though, right, is this really separated Orochi from Kaido. Kaido seemed more honorable in all this than Orochi, because they made the deal. Yes, they basically went back on it, but Kaido gave him a chance to survive with the boiling for an hour. Orochi changed his mind at the last minute and killed him, and Kaido said, as my show of respect, I want to finish you off to end your suffering, and then he kills him. But ultimately all this was Orochi changing his mind and doing his thing, so it kind of separated that. There's a little bit more honor with Kaido. I mean, him killing the shield, the witch that could change her ability that Mr. 2 has, Bon Clay has, and basically killing him off because it was because of that distraction that he won and he felt it was dishonorable. Then a lot of things happened. So I think really at that point, if you think about all the chapters that happened after that, and we're finding out that Kanjuro was the betrayer, the return of Law, Kid, Jinbei, the return of the Phoenix Man himself, Pineapple Head from Whitebeard's crew, and the returning Scabbard as well. So all these different things basically really was about a return. Obviously, the Denjiro revealing himself to be Kyoshiro. All these different things were essentially kind of returns and re-establishing characters and putting things in place. And then we got introduced to the Toby Roppo. We found out what their deal was. That if they do really well, they can challenge to be one of the All Stars, one of the three calamities, and they can challenge one in a fight. Then we know something about Queen, who has some type of vendetta, wants to kill one of the Toby Roppo by the sounds of it, and it's pointing to who's who. But there's also X-Drake who's in the Toby Roppo, so they might already know that he's part of the Marines or part of Shield. Shield Swords, whatever they're called. So there's all this going on realistically, and essentially it's building to be something quite interesting. We also get introduced to Yamato, Kaido's son, who's not actually his son, it's his daughter, who basically looks up to Odin and is an Odin fan, and basically thinks they're Odin and registers as Odin, and it's not a gender thing, and there's a lot of things that actually happens that I really like. And then we find that the Kanjuro's down now, we find out that Orochimaru is down now. There's literally so much going on. One thing I found really interesting, I believe it was last chapter or the chapter before, where the setup happens at the end, where basically Big Mom is talking to Luffy, and Luffy's like, she's saying like, do you think you can take down Kaido? And he's like, no, I'm going to kick everyone's ass, this is full on war. And then Kaido goes through the roof, and he basically turns into his dragon form, and all the mink are waiting for him. And they're ready to go Sulong because it's a full moon. The way that ended is really nice, and it really sets up chapter 988, which I'm going to go over. Another thing as well, I like the fact that they've shown a weakness in Kaido, because Kaido's been built up to be this immortal being, this guy who can't take damage, who can't kill himself. But what we've been shown throughout in little snippets, that Haki is a control thing. It's a state of mind, it's a state of being. Same thing happened with when Luffy was fighting against I can't even remember his name right now. The first commander of Big Mom's crew. It was all about the mental state, and him being affected by anyone linked to Odin is kind of like his weakness, kind of like how Big Mom's weakness or fragility is the whole thing with Madame Caramel or Mother Caramel. That being said, that I'm fine with them being powerful samurai, is the fact that a person like Kyoshiro could stop Odin. Yeah, they're not could stop Zoro. Yeah, they're not going all out and all that, but still that's a significant tell, because he's meant to be the right-hand man of Luffy, and he's going to be the most powerful swordsman, and he's been a beast all this time. It shows that the samurai are capable. We don't know how capable they're going to be, because that's really what the next step is, but I'm fine with that. Let's get into chapter 988. So, chapter 988. I made a few notes and made some observations of a few different things that I want to talk about, but before anything else, just to clarify a few things. In the last section, I mentioned Pineapple Head and the returning scabbard. Pineapple Head is Marco the Phoenix, and the returning scabbard is Izo, just in case it wasn't very clear. Sometimes I forget names, but I'm kind of on a roll, so I want to clarify. Now, 988. Again, just to confirm, this is based on spoilers. It did feel like a quick chapter, so there might be panels missing, so I'm only basing it on what I can see. Do forgive me if some people are offended if I do this too early, because this official release is in a few days. But I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted this video to be the first video I did again. I will be doing Black Clover and World Trigger catch-ups, and hopefully soon, if I keep up to this and be consistent, I'll do My Hero Academia as well. Anyway, let's kind of cover what happened now. So there's really two sections. You could expand the second section into a few bits. So we'll talk about the first section as it kind of amounts to a different area, and we'll go from there. So the first real section is about what happens with Kaido. So Kaido's basically on the roof. The last time we saw, the Neko's there, Ino's there, the Scabbards are there, the Minks are there. Full moon, Sulong forms incoming. And we have a slight addition to that situation. So there has been a reaction, something has happened, and basically Jack has also turned up there with some gifters and a and one of the numbers, number 7, number 7 I believe he is, and basically it's them that's really gonna be involved with the Minks. So essentially what happens is the people that are directly under Neko and the people that are directly under Inuarashi are the ones that are basically going Sulong in this chapter, and they're the ones that are going to fight Jack's crew, which I'm assuming by extension the other Minks that are there as well that are not Scabbards will probably be doing the same till they can basically fight and help out against Kaido. This I think is a good thing, because ultimately if you have all of them going against Kaido and Kaido wins, that really depowers Sulong form for the Minks, really depowers the 9 Scabbards, and if they win, that basically makes a Yonko look like nothing, especially Kaido, who's been built up to be this immortal being. So I like the fact that there is that separation, and I also like the fact that it's Jack that's involved, namely because he's the one that went to Zou, he's the one that caused all that trouble, he's the one that tortured everybody and he gassed everybody, and it wasn't just Ino and Neko that was affected, it was also the rest of the Minks, so it was the whole crew really. So them being able to get their revenge against him is a good thing. Moving past that, then we get into the second section or chunk or location of the story, and it's basically down, and basically Luffy wants to go up and do his thing, but he's obviously affected by what's going around him in the current vicinity. So what happens? So the first section, or first little bit in that location, is all to do with King and Momo. King and Queen are still on the kind of the scaffolding, or the kind of the stadium, the launching, the pad, or essentially the area where they're above everybody else, where Momo was getting executed or tortured, and we see that Shinobu's trying to help him. Now she does a very clever thing. It's kind of like a double bluff. She separates him but gets kicked away at the same time, and her strings are pulling him up. So it's like a nice little double bluff to get him off the kind of like crucifix, I guess. I liked it because what he says is kind of similar to, if not word for word, the same as a section of his statement way back when he's getting picked up and held by the throat, and he's getting asked, "Who are you?" So it is a kind of like a callback to that, and then essentially King intervenes, and he's going for a kick, and lo and behold, Sanji's there. I like this part about Sanji because it's two things. Number one, Nami's like, wait, I thought he was going after the prostitutes. And it shows he's not. One, because he's probably traumatized from Big Mom because of the face he made. And two, he says something very interesting. So he kicks King's leg, frees Momo, gives him to Shinobu, says, get out of here, I'll take care of this, and way to go with your name, declaring your name. I like that because there is some parallels between Momo and Sanji, and if you really look at it, they essentially have identity crisis after going through some trauma. With Sanji's, the whole situation with Zeph really being more of a father to him than his actual father, having the traumatizing past his mother, and how he was meant to be this type of super soldier type of thing, and it never happened, and he ran away. The whole Big Mom thing. So it was really about kind of identifying who his real father is, and to him it was Zeph, and then obviously his loyalty to the crew and wanting to go back with the crew. With Momo, it's about really kind of him being in hiding, being a coward, being intimidated, being scared of Kaido, and not really denying his heritage, but not really basically being a baby. I mean, he's a child, but basically being so scared that he wasn't willing or too scared to take up the responsibility of being Odin's son. And him declaring his name is him overcoming his trauma, his past, his identity crisis. So I like that part. Then there's a fight, essentially, it's not much of a fight, between Sanji and a King. King basically drill pecks him like he's a Dodrio or a Doduo Pokemon, and just smashes him into the wall. I like their interaction, because he goes, "What are you doing? Just disappear again, why don't you?" And then he drills him, and he goes, "Why don't you just disappear then?" And he's like, "I can't. I just become invisible." Okay, so it's not like, it's kind of funny, because he's basically telling him to get lost, and he's like, "No, I can't get lost. I just don't. I'm not visible." It's kind of funny how that happens. It's like banter in itself. And then there's like a section where King and Queen are discussing the stupidity of Jack and getting involved when they're talking about each other as well. They're like, "Oh yeah, but you're stupid as well." So I like their banter. So they're bantering even in extreme situations, which is kind of interesting in itself. Okay, so that's that part. Sanji's down. Luffy wants to get involved, but he can't really get involved because Big Mom's in front of him. Big Mom goes in for an attack, and she leaves a massive, hole behind them. They're like, "Who the hell is she?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a pirate that's on the same kind of level as Kaido." And they're like, "Oh my god, how are they going to beat her?" That's interesting, because Luffy does technically survive. It's very hard to tell from the translation, because the translation might be wrong. It looks like Luffy's dodged it, but that the order of the panel seems a bit off. So it could be that he's taken the blow, and we basically haven't seen what's going on with him properly. But it does look like he's dodged it or just tanked it, because he's kind of like roughed up, and he's talking to Yamato after that, saying that basically, "Can you look after Momo?" And he's like, "Well, of course, he is my son," because obviously Yamato is basically Odin. He's like, "But of course, he's my son, he's my child, no problem." And then he's gonna help, or she's gonna help Shinobu look after Momo. This is important because with the other Tobi Roppo, namely Ulti and Page 1, there probably is going to be a rematch between them, as well as hopefully a rematch between Sanji and Page 1 that we didn't see from the earlier chapters. So hopefully that separation from King basically helps that. Well, it also shows that although he's got the ability to do airwalking and this and that and the other, there's levels between King's flying ability and Sanji's airwalk at this stage. And obviously King is more polished. He's the right hand man of Kaido. So it's essentially showing levels. So I like the fact that they've shown that Sanji can do something against him, like they did with Doflamingo. I don't like that he's outmatched, but this might be a thing where because of the way the aerial ability works with the Devil Fruit for King, he might be stronger in that area and Sanji is stronger in a different area. Kind of like how he specializes in a different type of haki compared to Zoro, and Zoro's kind of more armament haki, and Sanji is more presence, or the present Ken Munchin haki, if I pronounce that correctly. So basically that's pretty much what happened. So if you think about it, we've got the thing with Kaido that's setting up the fight separation with Jack and Kaido and the rest of the Minks and the 9 Scabbards. Hopefully that'll set up a believable scenario for Luffy to get involved later. Luffy is fighting Big Mom. Sanji has separated Momo from King and Queen. Ulti and Page 1 are going to be around somewhere. Sasuke, we haven't seen him since he got chained up by Denjiro, so he'll probably come out at some point. Then there's the rest of them, and where these hints have been going, if it's a ex-Drake situation with Queen, I'm fine with that. If it's a who's who situation with Queen, I'm happy with that. Zoro is nowhere around just yet. He's getting there. So is Law and possibly Hawkins by the last chapter. We did see an outline that looked like Hawkins. It wasn't clarified, but a lot of people are thinking that. We don't know where the Pooh is right now, and we know that Killer is with Kid. So we will all see that coming forward. Lots to look forward to. So that's really my review. As always, please like, comment, share and subscribe. as that will really help push this video up to be more visible to other people. It isn't the best of qualities, I know, it's not the best of editing, but it is what it is. I hope you find some value in this, and if you don't, there normally is other channels that I would recommend, like Sawyer7made is one that I enjoy. So for the segments where you feel like I've rushed and you want more detail, I would check out his channel and his previous reviews, and they will cover that as well. But as always, see you next time, take it easy, peace.